new shelf tour, or an updated shelf tour of my Barbie / Disney shelf. So it's basically the main shelf in my room. The last time I showed this shelf was almost 5 years ago, I think, so I thought I would do an updated version, although I don't know how much has changed exactly, but I thought I would just make it a little more in-depth and show some more details of the display and my collection and such. This video took me 2 or 3 months to film and put together. It was quite a challenge for me, so I really hope you'll enjoy it. Please, please enjoy it. Okay, let's get into it. The very top of the shelf hasn't changed too much. It's still my designated area for my boxed dolls and the majority of my vintage Barbies. As you can see, it's pretty crowded up here, but I love it. All of these girlies are from the 90s, so you can tell I adore that time. My boxed dolls are from a few different years. I've rearranged them a few times, sold a few that I didn't love so that I could make room for the ones that I do. As you can tell, it's still pretty crowded, no room for another boxed doll, that's for sure. And just over to the side here, I have Mariposa and Princess Catania. I've seen people hang up their fairy dolls like this before, and I thought it was a cool idea. As we know, dolls with big wings or dresses tend to take up a lot of shelf space, so hanging them up saves me room and it also looks cool. And now to the first shelf, arguably everyone's favourite part of any display, and mine too, my classic Barbie movie dolls. I've got Nutcracker, Rapunzel and Rapunzel's wedding version, Swan Lake, Magic of Pegasus, Diamond Castle, Three Musketeers, 12 Dancing Princesses, Fairytopia, and Princess and the Pauper. I do have quite a lot of the movie dolls, including the Ken characters, and I definitely feel very blessed by that. I honestly can't get enough of them and can just spend ages staring at them. They are my absolute treasures. Then down in this little square is another vintage Barbie section. This one is a mix of 80s and 90s, books from the 90s, VHS and cassette tapes. And here I have some of my most special vintage dolls. Dream Glow and Dreamtime Barbie, my only 2 dolls from the 80s, so they're very special. I really want to obtain more as I'm very much an 80s girl at heart, and I think this was the best time for Barbie as well. Here I have the My First Ballerina Barbie. I think this girl is so dainty and elegant and just gorgeous in her simplicity. I love dolls like this so much. And Teddy Fun as well as Dreamtime Barbie were ones that I had to have for my love of teddy bears, as you can see. I also have some vintage Barbie magazines and this nightlight, which is a modern piece but with the 80s art on it. And here is my other favorite part of the shelf, all of my Barbie movies, in chronological order of course. I have all the movies up to Dolphin Magic. I would love to own Princess Adventure on DVD, but besides that, I don't really care about any of the modern Netflix movies, so I basically say that I own all the movies. I also have the first few seasons of Dreamhouse Adventures and the first season of A Touch of Magic, and then my Sing-Along with Barbie DVD and the Fairytopia interactive DVD game. And I have this Barbie Nutcracker puzzle and my Barbie storybook treasury. I mainly put these two here to hold up the DVDs and fill in space, but I think they fit. Up here I have one of my favorite Barbie items that I own, my 12 Dancing Princesses musical Hallmark ornament. Slightly broken sadly, but still gorgeous. And at the front I have my 2 Breathe With Me Barbies, I love these dolls and I figured it was a good place for them since Barbie movies do help me to breathe. And down to the next section. This is kind of a random assorted Barbie shelf, so no real theme. I've got all of my Barbie movie storybooks, some CD soundtracks, Swan Lake PC game, which is awesome by the way, my Barbie movie cards, this mini Barbie bust which you might recognize from one of our recent videos, this birthday Barbie that Katie gifted me so long ago now, my goodness, I want to say 2015. I have a couple figurines from Kinder Surprise Eggs back in the day, a couple perfume bottles. This one is nice, it's from the retro 80s set that came out recently. I've used it all, of course. And this one, the best perfume ever. I got it as a gift and unfortunately it is an older one and you can't really find it anywhere. But I keep a lookout on eBay because it is the nicest smelling perfume, at least in my opinion, and I wish I had an endless supply of it. Moving over, these two squares are for my more modern Barbie movie dolls, so any movie from 2010 onwards. As you can see, I do have quite a few of them, and I originally had them all in this one square shelf, but it was getting way too overcrowded, so I managed to rearrange the shelf and split them in two. I really need to get some stands for these girls because they're always falling over. I've tried standing up the ones with bigger dresses, etc., and others including mermaids, of course, sitting at the front. I love these dolls and I'm so happy to have as many as I do. And the last two rows of this shelf are still dedicated to my Disney things. I've rearranged this slightly, but it hasn't changed too much. These three squares are still dedicated to my top 4 Disney movies. I have a separate shelf for Cinderella, my number 1. But here I have number 4 and 5, Beauty and the Beast and The Little Mermaid. I don't have as much merch of these two, so they share a shelf. For The Little Mermaid, I have these two lovely Ariel dolls and 2 little figurines. All of these were gifted to me actually. I have the 3 movies, the original, the sequel and the prequel. For Beauty and the Beast, I don't have an actual Belle doll, but I do have the Enchanted Christmas one, which I actually think is even better. I love her. I also have the Enchanted Christmas movie, Belle's Magical World, and the original movie, of course. I also have the CD soundtrack. I have this magical flower lamp from the live action movie. I also have these little Kinder Surprise toys. They're meant to be dancing, which is really cute. And this random little box that I keep my little Disney X short story trinkets in. Here's my Sleeping Beauty shelf. I've got my double pair of vintage dolls, which I love having because it means I can dress Aurora in both blue and pink. And a couple more modern Disney store dolls, Princess Aurora and Briar Rose. I have the movie, of course, and the storybook. I also have the mini storybook, and I believe I have at least 2 other versions of the storybook that I don't display here. I have this lovely Revolution blusher, which I don't use, I just think items like this are really nice and look really good on display. And this teapot and cup set, which is gorgeous, I couldn't resist it. I do have more Sleeping Beauty things that I don't have room for on this tiny shelf, so I display them elsewhere throughout my room. And here is my beloved Tangled shelf. I have Rapunzel and Flynn dolls, of course. I have Maximus, and again I have a few different Tangled books. I have the movie that's a prequel to the series, and then at last I have the series itself, which I got only this year as a gift, and it's all 3 seasons and it's so hard to come by on physical media, so I'm so happy that I finally have it. And I have a crown and a sun necklace. These aren't official Disney merch, they were just things I already had, but they suit the Tangled theme pretty well. And I have these kiss mugs, which I'll never stop fangirling over, one of the best ideas ever. I also have another mug which I don't use in this box. It's a small mug with little Pascal on the handle that I think it's way too cute to use and risk breaking. And here is a short story candle which I also don't use. Looks wise it's lovely, but I'm not a huge fan of the scent that they use, so I just keep it here as a part of my display. Rapunzel is also sitting on top of her castle. This was a perfume slash body lotion set thing in the shape of castle, which is pretty cool. I've long since used up the product, so now I just keep it as part of my display. Or really something for Rapunzel to lean on. And I also have a little dancing Kinder surprise toy of Rapunzel and Flynn as well. Now onto the bottom row here with lovely Miss Snow and another Kinder figure. I have the rest of my Disney DVDs. I do own quite a lot that I have tried to cram into this tiny space. The Tinkerbell movies. Side note, these movies are amazing, I love them so much. I also have some that I've had to put at the back, mainly some Pixar movies and also these Disney Princess episodes. These are pretty random, but I actually quite enjoy them. This next section is where I keep all of my Disney live action movies from all these different times. A lot of underrated ones here in my opinion, but they are some of my favourite films. I'm also a huge fan of fantasy movies as a general genre, so this is where I keep those films as well. And finally, this last little section is where I keep all of my non-Disney animated movies, mainly DreamWorks, 20th Century Fox, Don Bluth, etc. My main favourites being The Swan Princess and Anastasia, which I adore, as you can probably see. And one last thing, my newest addition that I brought after filming this video, my new Barbie LED light. I couldn't resist this when I saw it, I love it, and I think it adds a lot to my shelf overall. And finally, that concludes my Barbie / Disney shelf tour of 2024. I am thinking possibly next year of maybe getting some new shelves and rearranging my displays and collections a little bit, but I'm not quite sure. We'll have to just see what happens. But as of now, this is my current display and I love it very much. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in our next one. Peace.